How's it going? The reason I'm speaking to you is in an attempt to not only make clear to you, but also in an attempt to rectify the rampant abuse of power and restriction of individual liberty that we are witnessing today within our great city. These abuses of freedom have taken their shape in the form of a recent curfew restriction passed into law by Mayor Nutter in an attempt to prevent the recent rise in underage flash mobs throughout the city, causing thousands of dollars in property damage to those unfortunate victims of these rampages, not to mention countless injuries. These flash mobs, a recent trend in teen misbehavior that is as disturbing as it is difficult to properly deal with, are a matter that must be dealt with in as sensitive a manner as possible. Taking this into consideration, I acknowledge the nature of the situation, and make no mistake, I admit that the violence, and specifically the flash mobs, is a huge problem that the city unfortunately faces. However, the enforcement of a curfew law against any citizen in Philadelphia, past the age of adulthood or otherwise, is certainly not going to turn out to be the remedy that the city is looking for. Rather, it is a meager and pathetic attempt at treating the symptoms of social illness, for example, these riots, meanwhile ignoring the cause of the disease itself, and in fact even contributing to it as the youth become discontent. It is established in this country that every human being is guaranteed the right to secure his own persons, meaning that anyone is free to do and go whatever and wherever he or she pleases, so long as no one gets hurt in the process. This is not a negotiable condition, and it is not to be violated, although it is clear today that Mayor Nutter has unfortunately managed to do so. The reality of the situation is that a curfew imposes what is in essence a police state. Fear breeds in the hearts of those threatened by the curfew, and greed and instigation of instances begin to manifest in those doing the patrolling. Cops look for kids, kids run from cops, and the whole system just perpetuates itself, and the crime will only continue. But in what society is such a restriction of free travel permissible? Certainly not in American society, and that can be said for certain. The reality of the situation, though, is this, Philadelphia. Your local government is telling you that you cannot leave your house. The very idea that such an insane concept could become our present reality as an American city is, put favorably, disturbing. By putting up with this, by taking the first step in this direction towards restriction of freedoms, we are giving our elected officials permission to put their feet in the door towards restricting even the very freedom to leave our houses. Are we living in martial law, Philadelphia? And if they can do it to the teens, they can do it to the adults too, and you better believe it. Furthermore, what real benefit is there for having this curfew in the first place? Sure, maybe it'll keep the kids inside for a little bit, but what happens when they, if they are in fact so dangerous that we need a curfew to protect us against them, get fed up with it all and decide to lash out again? Should we just keep the curfew forever then, and put all our trust in the police to keep us safe from criminal delinquents? And couldn't the kids just have daytime flash mobs instead? Should we just keep them off the streets of the city altogether until they turn 18, the magic number at which they become safe and can be allowed to roam freely again? How does one even begin to draw the lines in this situation? The fact of the matter is that before there can be change or progress in the city, the issues that are breeding the climate for these people to be acting in such a way need to be sought out and rectified. A measure as instantly gratifying as a curfew is not going to do much in terms of solving the issue of crime in Philadelphia, as inconvenient as that may be for us to accept. And restricting individual freedom is the worst possible way we could have gone about procrastinating to find the solutions to the problems that led to these flash mobs, because doing so hurts the citizens and threatens his quality of life and liberty. I'd also like to add that it is neither the mayor's nor the police force's responsibility to keep the city's children indoors at night. It is the sole responsibility of the parents. By rejecting the crazy notion that it's the government's job to protect every one of us from ourselves and from each other, and by instead taking personal responsibility for not only ourselves but for our children and our community, we can begin to make the changes necessary toward lowering the crime rates and solving the problems we face today in our city. In the words of Ben Franklin, those who would sacrifice liberty for security deserve neither. I couldn't have said it better myself. And for as long as Mayor Nutter continues to extend the curfew, as he's already been doing, this violation of individual rights is only going to continue, and neither the problems nor their causes are going to just magically go away because of it. You can't just put a band-aid on a broken leg and call it fixed, and jeopardizing the values of this country in the name of safety is not only irrational and radical, but is the first step towards the total seizure of our rights. And this is what is most crucial to me that you have come to understand. This is only the first step towards taking away our freedom, but if we allow them to take even one step towards this kind of oppression, which conveniently for us affects only the children right now, we can bet that they'll take more, and by then it might be too late. To fight the issue of crime, we've got to work as a city from the bottom up rather than the top down. It isn't going to be easy, and it's not going to happen overnight. There can be no shortcuts to solving these problems, and no curfew or any other restriction of freedoms will serve as one. But still, in spite of all this, I remain optimistic that we will overcome our obstacles through hard work, honesty, and liberty, as we've done before way back in 1776, and can certainly find the strength in us to do again today. Thanks for listening.